around different places? Wonderful.
Wow, all over, amazing. This is very exciting. Okay. So today I'm going to start, I thought we would talk about stories, we would talk about ideas, we would talk about how stories are born. And I'm going to start by telling you the story of a book I've written called The Shy Supergirl. But first, I have questions for you. Okay? Do all of you like superheroes? How many of you like superheroes? Yes, me too. When you think of a superhero, what do you think of? How do you imagine a superhero in your head? If I say the word superhero, what is the picture that comes into your head? Tell me. Put it in the chat because, ma'am, you'd rather they don't unmute and speak, right?
Yes, ma'am. We'll put it in the chat, ma'am.
Okay.
We can read it out for you, ma'am.
Sure. So when I say superhero, what is the image? What is the picture that Avengers, Spider-Man, Super Potato, strong, absolutely, brave, perfect, will fly, totally. What else? So somebody who's strong, somebody who can fly, somebody who is brave, Iron Man, yes, Spider-Man, kind, someone who is kind and helpful, flying superhero, Wonder Girl, Spider-Man, perfect. So actually, okay, so when you think of a superhero, you think of somebody, is that person big and has plenty of muscles? Yes or no? Yes. And is the person somebody who can fly and somebody who is super brave and kind? Now I am going to show you this girl. Her name is Nina. Does she look like a superhero? Take a good look at Nina. Does she? No? Why? Why does Nina not look like a superhero? Tell me that. Why does Nina not look like a superhero? Why? Why? Because she doesn't have muscles, absolutely. Why else does she not look like a superhero? What else does she not have that would make her a superhero? She doesn't have a suit, correct? She doesn't seem to be able to fly, absolutely. Because she doesn't have a costume and superpowers. But I am going to tell you a little secret. Nina is a superhero and she has a superpower. May I tell you what her superpower is? Shall I tell you what her superpower is? Okay. Now, when you look at me, what do you see? Look at me and tell me, what do you see? What do you see when you look at me? Put it in the chat. Do you see a person? Do you see
I got the answer.
My glasses. You see my glasses. What else do you see? A necklace, correct. What else do you see? A sari, perfect. You see I am a person. You see my hair. You see my dress. Absolutely. You see my nose. You see my eyes. You see my fingers. But when Nina looks at somebody, what does she see? If Nina were to look at me, she would see my glasses, she would see my sari, she would see my necklace, she would see my eyes, she would see my ears, she would see my fingers. But she would see something else. Because when Nina looks at a person, she doesn't just see the face and the clothes, she sees something else. She sees colors around that person. And those colors help her to see whether the person is good or what? Bad, kind or mean, happy or what? Happy or sad, perfect. So Nina When she sees a person, she looks at the person's colors and she can tell what kind of person that person is. Now, do you think it is a useful superpower to have? Would you like to have a superpower like that? Would you like a superpower like that? Some people would like it and some people would not. It's a very useful, strong or weak, correct? Small. Absolutely. She can see all kinds of things about that person. Sometimes it's a very useful superpower. When her mummy says, do you want to join Mrs. Kapoor's art class? Nina will look at Mrs. Kapoor and she will see that there is lovely orange and yellow colors bouncing around Mrs. Kapoor. And she will say, yes, yes, I want to join Mrs. Kapoor's art class because she looks like a fun person. But sometimes it is not a very good superpower to have. Now think about it. Suppose your mummy's friend comes from Dubai with lots of chocolates and sweets and presents. And mummy says, come, sit next to my friend Pallavi auntie. She wants to chat with you. And Nina looks at Pallavi auntie and she sees dark gray smoke coming out of Pallavi auntie. Do you think Nina will want to sit next to Pallavi auntie? Do you think? And she will say, no, mummy, I don't want to sit next to Pallavi auntie. And how will mummy be? Will mummy be happy about it or angry? What do you think? Mummy will be mad. Nina, why are you behaving so unfriendly? Come and sit here this minute. And it causes all kinds of problems. Very angry, absolutely, 100%. Now, do you think that Nina has told everyone about her superpower? Do you think that adults would understand something like this? Would you tell your mom about a power like this? No. Nina doesn't either. She doesn't tell her mommy, she doesn't tell her daddy, she doesn't tell her dadi or her nani. But there is one person that she tells. Any guesses who that person is? Any guesses? Who would you tell? Who would you tell? A friend. Absolutely right. Her best friend. And I am going to introduce you to her best friend, who is a boy named Buggy. Now, Buggy's real name is Bhagat Roy. But Buggy doesn't like football, he wears big spectacles, and everybody at school and in the building calls him Buggy. At first, Buggy is quite upset. But once he meets Nina, Nina looks at him and she sees a big golden glow around Buggy and she realizes that Buggy is brave and Buggy is clever and Buggy is loyal. And she becomes Buggy's absolutely best friend. And after that, Buggy and Nina are perfectly happy and he is the only person who knows about her powers. Now, I was wondering, for a few minutes, shall we think about what kinds of colors Nina sees and what powers they connect with? Shall we do that? So I will read out a little about what Nina sees and you tell me what that means. Does that sound fun? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, children. It's fun, right? Thumbs up and the smiling faces. Perfect.
Okay. So now I'm going to tell you about Nina's Hindi teacher, who is a lady named Mrs. Rampal. When Nina looks at Mrs. Rampal is wrapped in a dirty yellow smog. What do you think Mrs. Rampal is like? Any guesses? Any guesses? What do you think Mrs. Rampal is like? Sad, poor maybe, mean and bad. And do you think Nina wants to spend time with Mrs. Rampal? No, she doesn't. But when she meets her bus driver, who is a huge fellow with squinty eyes and big horny toes and bulgy warts, when she sees him, he gives out little pink puffs. What do you think those pink puffs mean? And does Nina want to be his friend, Singhji's friend? What do you think mean? Yes, it means that he is happy and kind, and Nina loves chatting with this very big and scary looking bus driver. What do you think the color red means? What do you think the color red means? Maybe that the person is angry. What do you think the color yellow, bright sunshine yellow means? That the person is happy? Maybe. So now I'm going to read a little bit about Nina to you, and then we are going to talk about the story. Nina and Buggy, that's the name of the first chapter. Superheroes are usually big, strong fellows who wear capes and jump from one building to another. Sometimes, just sometimes, they turn out to be small girls who weigh 21 kilos and hate Hindi homework. Like Nina. Nina was 9 years old. She had brown eyes, untidy pigtails, and one dimple in her left cheek. You rarely saw that dimple though, because Nina rarely smiled. For most of the day, Nina wore a sloppy school uniform and a serious expression. In the evenings, she changed into leggings and faded t-shirts, but she never changed a serious expression. Nina wasn't a tennis champ. She couldn't turn 12 cartwheels. She wasn't a YouTube star. So when grown-ups looked at her, they saw a shy and ordinary child, which just goes to show that grown-ups can be pretty silly. For Nina wasn't the least bit ordinary. She had a power that was both scary and amazing. She could look into people's hearts and see if they were nice or they were nasty, or, as was usually the case, a messy mix of the two. When you and I meet people, we notice their shiny pink shoes and their curly hair. Nina saw that, but if she really looked at a person like that, she saw something else as well. She saw what the person was like behind the hair and the shoes. She saw the yellow rays that shine out of cheerful people and the silvery moonbeams of kindness. She recognized the dull red clouds that follow what kind of people? Tell me, what kind of people will have dull red clouds? Bad, angry, yes, cunning, absolutely. And even the purple lava of evil. All this sounds cool, and it was cool. It was useful when Nina had to choose a partner for a science project or decide to join a new art class. But her powers also got Nina into trouble. Big, big trouble. Now, the story begins right at the beginning of the Christmas holidays. How many of you like Christmas? And how many of you like Christmas holidays? Me too. Why do you like Christmas? Quickly tell me on the chat. What is special about Christmas? Gifts, correct? What else is special about Christmas? Presents, Santa, gifts, decorations, exactly, Christmas trees, and the weather is cool and lovely and everyone looks happy and is going for parties. Santa and snow and chocolates, and absolutely, totally agree with all of you. Now, the Christmas holidays are coming and Nina and Buggy are super excited because they have lots and lots of plans for Christmas. They are planning to learn roller skating. How many of you know how to roller skate? Do any of you know how to roller skate? Some don't and some do. They want to learn. They don't know how to roller skate, but they want to learn. And Nina has other plans. She is going to join a baking class with 5 other friends from her building. And they are going to make vanilla cupcakes and cheese biscuits and some special chocolate tarts. And she is very excited. How many of you like baking? How many of you bake? I love baking too. But Buggy is especially excited because of another reason. Buggy's cousins are coming from America. And when cousins come from America, what do you get? What do you get? Why is he so excited? Because his cousins are coming. Because they are going to come with lots and lots of chocolates. And Buggy says, Nina, I will share all the chocolates with you and we will have lots of fun. Now, the holidays begin and the cousins come. The cousins are Krish and Tanya. And immediately in 5 minutes, Buggy becomes really friendly with them. They seem very friendly and very charming. But when Nina meets them, what does she see? Does she see good colors or bad colors? Can any of you guess? What? She sees bad colors. She sees sharp green sparks coming out of them. I will show you the picture. Wait. There is the picture. Sharp green sparks coming out of them. And do they seem like nice people or bad people? Not nice at all. And Nina is very worried. But she can't tell Buggy because Buggy is looking so happy. So she doesn't say anything. Now, Nina's getting quite worried because all the new people she meets don't look very nice. There is a new chokidar in the building with orangey brown clouds coming out of him, and a new man who has come to live with his auntie, Mrs. Khanna, who has grey little waves coming out of him. And Nina starts worrying. She says, why am I only seeing bad things about people? What is going on? Now, because it is the Christmas holidays and Nina and Buggy live in a big tall building called Venus Apartments. Wait, I will show you the picture. Venus Apartments. Venus Apartments is in Mumbai. And in one of these tall buildings live Nina, Buggy, and a whole lot of other children. And every Christmas holiday, Nina, Buggy, and all the children take part in a big treasure hunt that is organized by the building secretary, a lady named Mrs. Chandela. Have any of you ever taken part in treasure hunts? Some of you have, some of you haven't. So how does a treasure hunt work? First, you are given a clue and you have to find out where that clue takes you. And then when you go to that place, there is another clue that takes you to another place. And finally, right at the end, after 7 or 8 clues, what do you find? What do you find right at the end after following one clue after another? What do you find? You get a map, maybe you get money, or you find treasure. Absolutely right. Perfect. So now, the evening of the treasure hunt comes and everyone is super excited. And Mrs. Chandela forms them into two teams, and everyone is going up and down, running and looking for clues. Let me tell you where the clues take them. Okay. The first clue takes you, so now they've started reading the clues. And Buggy and Nina are in the same team, which is called Team Mars, named after the planet. So, and they get a blue sheet of paper and they read the clue. The first clue takes you to a place of truth. Put on your glove to seek the best orange and pink eats. So now where are they going to find the best orange and pink eats? The team thinks and thinks. Some people can't get an answer, but of course, Buggy has the answer because Buggy is super clever. He looks at the chit and he says, and everybody else laughs because they say, oh, Buggy, he's just like a little insect. But because Buggy is very clever, he grabs it and he says, glove, oven, glove, Mrs. Lala's oven. That is the lady who's going to be doing the baking class and she makes the best pastries. So they all go running to Mrs. Lala's house and then they find the second clue. I play my flute all day long, but no one dances to my silent song. Where can this clue take them? Buggy smiles and he has the answer. It is the statue of Krishna that is right outside the building. Very soon, Team Mars is running from one place to another and cracking clues. And finally, they reach the last clue. The clue that is going to take them to the apartment of a lady who lives in the building, a lady named Mrs. Khanna. Now, Mrs. Khanna is very famous in the building because she collects owls, all kinds of owls, glass owls and silver owls, stone owls and wooden owls. And her owls are very famous because a newspaper has written an article about them. And the last clue is taking them all the way to Mrs. Khanna's house. Now, Mrs. Khanna lives all the way on the top floor. So they say, we are very tired running up and down. So let us take the elevator. Let us take the lift. So all the children run into the lift, and the elevator is going up, up, up. When suddenly, what do you think happens? Ta-da!
Mom, the lift stops.
There is what do you think happens? The lift stops, the lights go off because there is what do you think has happened? What do you think? Power cuts, absolutely. And they're all standing in the lift, and one or two of them are crying. Little Lalita begins to cry. And Nina says, don't worry, Lalita, we are fine. We'll get out. And Maya Pereira hugs little Lalita and says, the power will come on in 5 minutes, in 10 minutes. Don't worry. And the other children in Team Mars are very angry. They say that other horrible team has turned off the power because they knew we were winning. So they have got us stuck in the lift. Everyone is very angry. It was a full 24 minutes before the lights came on again and the elevator completed its journey to the 12th floor. Cheats! They must have found the treasure by now, Arman grumbled as they all tumbled out of the elevator. But Arman was wrong. When they reached Mrs. Khanna's living room, it was clear that the treasure hunt was the last thing on anybody's mind. Something had happened. Something serious. Mrs. Khanna's house was full of people, but one familiar object was gone. There was no sign of a fat, silver Mexican owl that had sat in the room for 30 years. Can you all see? All the owls are there, but can you see there is one place where the owls are missing? One owl is missing. Can you see that? Now, this owl is a very wonderful and valuable owl. It actually belongs to a museum. Where could it have gone? Krish and the members of Team Mercury were standing around. They looked worried. Pintu, a thin, sleepy boy who worked for Mrs. Khanna, stood hunched in the door. He looked confused. Mrs. Khanna was sitting on the sofa. The silver owl from Mexico is hundreds of years old, she was saying. People kept trying to buy it from me, but it was my friend. I loved it. Now it is gone, stolen. Her nephew sat next to her, muttering angrily, Auntie, I have told you hundreds of times that these owls need to be kept in a bank, but you never listened to me. Mrs. Chandela, the building secretary, was striding up and down the room. Then she pulled out her phone from her bag and began shouting, Where's that watchman? Gopal, come here now. The new watchman arrived a few minutes later, bringing his cloud of splotchy orange with him. Did anybody leave the building during the power cut? Mrs. Chandela demanded. Did any outsiders come in? No, madam, the watchman replied. In that case, Mrs. Chandela said in a scary voice. Here, you want to see a picture of scary Mrs. Chandela? The thief is right here. And then do you know what she did? She turned and pointed at poor Pintu, the little boy who worked for Mrs. Khanna. She pointed a finger and said, That boy must have stolen the owl. Return it immediately, or we will call the police. There was a silence in the room. Then Mrs. Khanna said, "No, Pintu is a good boy." But her voice was weak and tired, and nobody bothered to listen. Now, there is one other person who knows that Pintu is not the thief. Who do you think that person is? Any guesses? Who else in that room knows that Pintu has not stolen the owl? Buggy, maybe. Nina. Nina knows because when she looks at Pintu, she can see that he loves Mrs. Khanna. He loves working for her because Mrs. Khanna is very kind and he would never steal the owl. But nobody will listen if Nina says, "I think Pintu loves Mrs. Khanna." Why will they listen to her? So this is the time that Nina and Buggy decide to find the real thief. Nina has three groups of suspects. They are: suspect number one are Buggy's cousins with the sparks. Who remembers what color their sparks are? Who remembers the sparks, the color, bright green sparks that come out of Buggy's cousins? All of you are listening wonderfully. All of you all know the answers. Amazing. The second suspect is the watchman with the dull orange cloud. Could he be the other person who's stolen the owl? Or Mrs. Khanna's nephew with his grey waves coming out of his head? Could any of these people be the thief? What do you think? What do you think? Do you think any of these people are the thieves? Or is the person somebody else altogether? Who do you think? And do you think that Nina will solve this mystery with help from Buggy? Do you think she will? Yes. Okay. So one day, maybe, I hope you'll read the book and figure out who the thief is. But right now, shall we talk about superheroes and superpowers? Shall we do that? Yeah? Okay. Now, I have a question for you. If you were a superhero, what kind of superpower would you have? And what would your superhero name be? And what would your superhero costume be? Now, your answers can't be Spider-Man and Superman and Iron Man and Captain Underpants and Wonder Girl. I don't want a superhero who's already in the movies and already in the comics and already in books. I want a superhero that comes out of your head and your imagination. Yes or no? Yes or no? A new superhero with new superpowers and a new costume and a new name. So will you all think about what kind of superpower you would want to be and what kind of superhero you would want to be? Miss, do you think once they come up with their superheroes, they can unmute one at a time and tell us? Or
Sure,
would you
ma'am.
prefer? Yeah?
However
It would
you
be more
want,
fun
ma'am.
if
Yeah.
they're able to talk about it.
Sure, ma'am, sure. So children, you can think about the superhero and raise your hands, and your time starts now.
If you want, you can do a quick drawing of the superhero. If you want, you can just tell me about the superhero. If you want, you can act out the superhero.
And you will have 30 seconds to talk about it, right, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
Yes, so within 30 seconds, you have to talk.
Super. So, Miss,
Okay.
will you start calling upon them or shall we give them 2 minutes to think about it? And then...
We'll give, I think, ma'am, there are lots of hands up.
Yeah.
So we won't be able to take all the questions, children, all
No
your
problem.
this,
We'll do a
but
few...
you can put, some of you can start putting up on the chat as well.
Chat box.
Okay.
Yes, you can
So,
give answers in the chat box.
Yes.
Either me or Gayatri ma'am or Shabnam
Yes.
ma'am.
Sure.
Okay. Till then, we will meanwhile try and unmute you, and you can answer.
Sure.
Okay.
So,
So
will
we
you...
have Havya.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here's my friend, and he will talk about first.
Wonderful.
Talk, talking, talk.
Tell me about your superhero.
Let's both talk then. This is Okay. We have made Paki, superhero Paki and superhero Havya.
Lovely. And what kind of powers do these two superheroes have? What kind of special powers?
Special powers, invisibility and a thunderstorm. Yeah. And to lift up stairs.
Okay, wow. A power that can lift up chairs and become invisible. That is scary. When I go to sit on a chair and suddenly the chair goes up, I am going to be very frightened. And
okay, so next we have, yes, Ira. Others start putting up in chat.
My name is not Ira, it's Ira.
Ira, lovely.
Ira, okay, so sorry.
So my superhero name is, I will be, my superhero name is superhero Malia.
Okay. And what are your powers, oh superhero Nalia?
She will fly. She can fly in the sky, and I will fly in the sky, and we can also see good peoples and bad peoples.
Very fast. So when you're flying around, you can see the good people and the bad people. What a lovely power. And do you have a costume? What color?
Okay.
Costume is rainbow color.
Who's next, Miss?
Next we have Kritin.
Okay.
Yes, Kritin, unmute yourself.
Oh, my superhero name is Tissa, and it has superpower that can be invisible, lift everything. That
Wow.
should be a powerful one.
Wow.
It can fly.
Arey wow, very powerful superhero.
It has a shield to
Arey
protect.
wow.
And if someone attacks, it can also make a thunderstorm or
Arey wow. Amazing.
have a light.
More?
It can blink a light and like it will go like that.
Most powerful superhero. Arey wow.
Candle.
Nice, nice.
Wow, very nice. Okay, so next we have Ipshita. Yes, Ipshita.
My superhero name is Sweta.
Okay. And
Her superpower is she can fly, and when she wants to make a thunderstorm, she can make.
Arey wow, lovely.
She can fly, and she have great muscles.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Very nice.
And she can fly, so she has a great costume also.
Arey wow. Good, good, good. Very nice. Who's the next one? Who will act out a superpower for me now?
Next we have Tara. Unmute.
My superhero's name is Metal Girl, and she can make metal out of her hands.
Oh. What an interesting power. That is very unusual. I have never come across this power before.
And when she burns the metal, then she's got this kind of superpower. She can turn it into gold.
Lovely power. Lovely.
And she's got this kind of costume that
Sumi, where?
Yeah, ma'am, I put her on spotlight.
Okay, great. Okay. Show me. I can't see it for some reason. Oh dear.
Ma'am, you can see the spotlighted but in the speaker
Ma'am, you
view.
can check the speaker view.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'll switch to speaker. Ah, lovely. Very nice costume. And is it made out of metal?
Yes, ma'am.
Super. Thank you. Who's next?
Perfect.
Okay,
Ma'am, we have Eric.
2, 3 more, and then I was going to suggest that after that, you all can ask me if you want.
If he shoots someone, his arrow is gonna come back, and the T-Rex is gonna eat the person and come back to the arrow. And whenever he wants lightning, he can come towards that lightning.
Wonderful,
Okay.
wonderful power.
Nice. Okay, so we'll take the last question, ma'am.
Sure.
Okay, so now we are taking our last question. Yes, Tanna.
Ma'am, my superhero's name is Smash. He has a hammer. He has a hammer, like he can do with that hammer
Oh,
lightning,
okay.
and if we show the hammer like this, the hammer comes to his hand back, and he has a shield too. He can run very speed like a flash.
Okay. Amazing. Very interesting power. Very, very scary also. Lovely. Now, do any of you have questions about books, about reading, about writing, about stories, anything at all that we can chat? If you like, we can chat about and I can answer your questions. Or if you want, I can start telling you all another story as well. But let's do some questions first. So any questions you'll have, I can chat. We can answer, and then maybe I'll tell you a little bit of another story.
Okay, children, now you will put up your questions in the chat box. Okay, Devyani ma'am and I am going to read out your questions. Put your questions into the chat box. Meanwhile, ma'am, I have one more child. This is Lashika, who has drawn her superhero. That's a Spider-Man.
Lovely.
I'm just putting her on the spotlight.
Sure.
Yeah, you can show your superhero. Yeah, perfect. Others, come on, start putting up your questions in the chat. Come on, I want to see your typing power.
Oh, nice, Spider-Man.
Now you all have to become the superheroes with the chatting ability. Now put the message. What questions do you have for ma'am? What do you want to know about the stories? What is it that you would like ma'am to answer for you? So put it in the chat, everyone. Chat.
Okay. I live in
Raising
Mumbai.
hands right now.
So one question is, where do you live? I live in Mumbai, and that is why all my books are set in Mumbai. In different parts of Mumbai, usually, but they're all in Mumbai.
Okay. Children, those who are raising their hands, children, please put your doubts in the chat. Please put them in the chat.
Anna,
Arvi, Arjun, everyone, put it in the chat.
Shruti, message in the chat. Reply in
Yes.
the chat.
Put it in the chat.
any questions about books,
Yes.
about reading, about writing, about ideas?
Any questions? Meanwhile, ma'am, you can just see some of them are showing us the pictures they have
pictures,
drawn.
ma'am.
Yes.
Excellent, lovely.
I have Reepa. I'm just adding, giving spotlight. Yeah, Reepa Ranjit. You can see, ma'am.
Yes.
Oh, very
Fine.
nice. What is the name of the superhero? I can't read the name. Is there a name?
You can unmute dear.
No,
Yes, Reepa. You
not,
can show now. Yes.
not the name.
Okay. Very cute. And I can see lots of action happening in your drawing. Very nice. What is my mother tongue is one of the questions. So, Gujarati.
I just write good people and bad people, and I can hide myself,
Very well. Nice. Lovely.
and
Unmute.
Perfect.
Okay. Somebody is asking me what is the time in my city. Right now it is 1:10, 10 past 1. What is the time in your city? Aren't most of you in India?
Okay, children, you can send your message to Gayatri, or you can send it to Shabnam ma'am. You can even send it to Devyani ma'am. Yes, we are watching. We are looking at your pictures. Aditya, Venkat, Dikshna, we have seen all your Arav.
I live in
Dakshita,
Mumbai.
Wonderful.
I'm just
Now
answering
quickly put up your questions in the chat. Super Potato, very good, Dikshna. Rakshita, amazing.
Lovely.
Okay, Anishka have a message that my superhero is Bruce Lee.
Okay. Lovely.
Okay. Okay, ma'am, now do we shift from the superheroes and come back
Yes.
to the stories?
Shall we do that?
Okay.
So,
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Now I
how
want
many
you all.
stories have you written? Right. So I'll just answer whatever questions and then I will
Yes,
jump to another story. Okay.
Yes.
So I have written, I think, 11 big books, about 12 picture books, and I'm writing another big book at the moment. So it's a mix. Okay. So I thought that maybe because we have about 15 minutes, I could tell you the story of another girl, a little girl named Sumi.
So sorry, ma'am, I'm interrupting you. Till then, children, all your doubts. Children, it is very difficult to unmute you right now. So please put all your doubts, your questions, anything you want to talk about in the chat. Okay? Please put it in the chat.
Okay, so one
Perfect.
of you will ask, have I ever met Sudha Murthy? Well, I have met her once. And in fact, my daughter has interviewed her once for some literary festival. So I think my daughter knows her better. I've only met her a little. How old am I? I am over 50 years old. And any other questions? Are there any other questions out there? Or should I jump into the story? What should I do? Yes, I see some hands up. Are those for questions or to say something? Story time. Let us start the story. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the story about this girl named Sumi. Now the name of the book is Lucky Girl. But look at Sumi's face. Does Sumi look like a happy, lucky girl? Does Sumi look happy and lucky? No. But let me read out a little about Sumi to you and then we will chat about her. Sumi was a lucky girl. At least that's what everybody said. She lived in a bright apartment high above the roofs and cars and noises of Mumbai. Her bedroom had candy-striped wallpaper and a pink bed with flouncy frills. On the frills were purple bows, and sewn onto the bows were the tiniest, daintiest little roses. There was a little cot for Sumi's dolls and fluttery curtains at the window. If Sumi stood on tiptoes and stared past the trees and terraces, she could see a triangle of grey sea. On the other side of Sumi's room were shelves crammed with teddy bears and beanie boos and books and board games and crayons and glitter paint. You are so lucky, all her friends said as they patted the bows and the teddy bears. I wish I had a pink bed. I wish I had a cot for my dollies. Lucky girl, all the aunties would say. You have a sea view from your window. Sumi smiled politely, but she didn't feel very lucky. Do you all want to know why Sumi didn't feel lucky? Do you want to know why Sumi didn't feel lucky? Sumi was not the kind of girl who cared about pink beds and grey seas and stuffed squirrels. She was the kind of girl who cared about food. And yet she was always hungry and a little sad, which was a pity. The problem, of course, was Sumi's mother. It was not as if Sumi's mother didn't like food. She loved it. It was not as if Sumi's mother couldn't cook food. She cooked fabulous food. She not only cooked food, but she wrote cookbooks. Not just any cookbooks, but the most famous cookbooks in all of India. Those cookbooks were called Cooking with Pummy, because Pummy was the name of Sumi's mummy. Wherever she went, people recognized Pummy. Ah, They would say, we saw you making peanut butter cupcakes on TV. Or, I made your rainbow rice. It was super. All this sounds wonderful. And it was wonderful for Pummy. But was it wonderful for the rest of her family? Do you think it was wonderful for the rest of her family? No, because whenever Pummy was writing a cookbook, that is all she cooked. Now, let us imagine that Pummy is writing a cookbook on rice. What do you think she makes for breakfast? What do you think she makes for breakfast? Will anybody guess? Can anybody guess what Pummy makes for breakfast when she is rice? Right, she makes rice flakes for breakfast. What do you think she makes for lunch? Rice. Let us see. She makes a rice pulao with mushrooms and paneer. What do you think she makes for tea time snack? What do you think she makes for tea time snack? Any guesses? Rice crackers. What do you think she makes for dinner? Rice and dal. Yes, rice cake as well. What do you think she makes for dessert? Rice kheer. Now, when you go day after day eating rice for breakfast, rice for snack, and rice for lunch, and rice for tea, and rice for dinner, how do you think the family feels? Who can make the face of a family who's eating rice and only rice meal after meal? Show me what kind of faces they will make. Yes. Now, when Pummy is working on a Chinese cookbook, she plays Chinese music in the house. She cooks strange things like the toes of a hen and the beak of a cock, and the house is filled with soya sauce. In fact, she so gets into the Chinese mood that she stops calling baby Sumi Sumi and starts calling her dim sum, because those are Chinese dumplings. When she's making her Japanese cookbook, she starts calling poor Sumi. What do you think she starts calling Sumi? Sushi, baby sushi. And when she makes an Indian cookbook, she starts calling baby Sumi, baby samosa. Poor, poor Sumi. The problem is that at the moment, Pummy is working on a cookbook called The Challenge. And the cookbook is full of dishes made from very cheap and very healthy ingredients. Do you think sugar is allowed in any of the dishes? Do you think she's allowed to use sugar? Do you think butter is allowed? Do you think cheese is allowed? Cream is allowed? Nothing. Do you think even ordinary dal rice is allowed? Or jelly and custard? Instead, Pummy uses the stuff that most people throw away, like watermelon seeds, cucumber peels, potato peels. I have taken up the challenge, she said grandly on TV. I will prove that it is possible to eat healthy and cheap. Waste not, want not. You don't need expensive, unhealthy ingredients to cook a wonderful meal. A person can eat a fabulous meal for less than 100 rupees. Pummy traveled to all the villages in India and came back with sacks of leaves with names like Tinkoli and Kala Chakunda. She would chop them and cook them and stir them and make them into toppings for ragi pizza, or swirl them into carrot broth with potato peel crunchies and beetroot pie. You can just imagine what breakfast, lunch, and dinner were like. And whatever you are imagining, it was much, much worse. Now, as you can imagine, poor Sumi was sick of eating food made out of pumpkin peel. But there was something worse. Because whenever Sumi went to school, her mummy would pack a very special snack for her in her snack box. And everybody would come and say, "Oh, Sumi, your muffins look lovely, your cupcakes look lovely. Can I have a bite?" And Sumi would say, "Please, please, eat my muffin, eat my cupcake." And then her friends would bite into the cupcake and their faces would turn. Because when they would bite into the cupcake and instead of jam or chocolate, what do you imagine was filled in those cupcakes? Can anybody guess? Who can guess? Who can guess? Spice? Fruit?
Put your guesses in the chat, children. Come on, put it in the
Potato
chat quickly, quickly.
Potato peels, very good. Yes, potato peels, mashed peas, sometimes boiled cauliflower stems, and all the friends. Suppose you bit into a cupcake and found a boiled cauliflower stem in there. What would your face become like? What kind of face would you all make? And everybody would say, Sumi, we don't want anything from your tiffin box. And in Sumi's class, there are two boys who are big bullies, very mean boys who walk around pushing everyone with their elbows and taking people's water bottles and throwing out all the water. And they start calling Sumi by a very mean name. They start calling Sumi pumpkin peel. And whenever they see Sumi, they all look at her and say, can you guess what they say? They laugh at it. Pumpkin peel, that's all you get for every meal. And how do you think that makes poor Sumi feel? Who will tell me how that makes Sumi feel? Sad, absolutely sad, and fed up. Now, Sumi has a best friend called Priya. Priya is a very clever best friend. She's the kind of girl who can recite entire dictionaries and encyclopedias. But does she share her snack with Sumi? No, whenever they are at school, she will hide her box because she is so scared that she will have to eat those mashed potato muffins, which she doesn't want. One day she tells Sumi, Sumi, you are getting thinner and thinner every day. And in a few weeks, I promise you that one day you're going to go poof and disappear. I think you have to do something to get some proper food. So Sumi says, yes, but what can I do? What can I do? I'm only a child. So Priya says, cook your own food. So Sumi says, I'm not allowed into my kitchen. My mommy says there are too many sharp knives. How? So Priya says, then work to get some money. So Sumi says, no, I don't know where to go and find work. And if I ring my neighbor's doorbell and say that I will wash their car, they may complain to my mommy. I don't know how to get other food. And then a few days later, Sumi is sitting in her car and going home when the car stops at a traffic light. She looks out of the car window and she sees a huge poster. And the poster is put up by a shop called Fab Foods. Fab Foods is the most wonderful shop in the world. It has all the most fabulous foods. Can you quickly put in the chat what kinds of food it has? It has cakes and it has jelly and it has rice cakes and it has yummy frozen parathas and it has lovely masalas and what other things? Yes, cakes and pudding, jelly pudding and cupcakes and jalebis and gulab jamun, everything that Sumi wants to eat. And Fab Foods has said, we are turning, it is our birthday, and to celebrate our birthday, let me see if I can find the poster. To celebrate our birthday, we are having a competition. All you need is one bill from Fab Food and you have to write a poem about Fab Foods. Send us the poem and we are going to have a competition, and the winner of the competition can take an empty trolley and go all the way up and down Fab Foods, filling the trolley with all the yummiest things in the world. And when Sumi sees this, she makes a decision. What do you think she decides? What do you think Sumi decides? What does Sumi decide? She decides, I am going to win the competition. And she thinks that will be easy because Priya has won so many poetry writing competitions. Priya will help me. So the next day, she and Priya sit and they write a poem about Fab Foods. It is a very fancy poem because Priya knows lots and lots of big words and lots of different rhymes, and so I will show you the kind of poem she writes. I'm looking for it. She said, "Oh, the blushing red apples of autumn, the radiance of the purple plum," and it's a very fancy poem. And then Priya and Sumi draw and do a border around the poem, and Sumi is very happy. She thinks, I will win the competition and I will get all the yummy food. But there is one problem. When Priya and Sumi are chatting about the competition and the prize, somebody in school hears them. Can any of you guess who hears them? Who hears about the competition and the prize? The boys, Gershwin and Raghu, absolutely. And so, when everybody else is doing their exercise and PE class and playing games and running in the compound, Gershwin pretends that he has a stomachache. But does he really have a stomachache? He goes into the class and he looks around the bag and he pulls out the poem. And then with a purple felt pen, he cancels Sumi's name and writes his own name, Gershwin, and he sends it for the competition. Now, when Sumi goes home, she realizes that the poem is missing and she gets very, very sad. Quickly, she phones Priya. But Priya is in maths class and in abacus class and creative writing class and will not come home. And it is the last day of the competition. So what does Sumi have to do now? What do you think Sumi does now? First, she cries for 5-10 minutes. And then what does she do? Who can guess? She gets
Writes another poem.
And then she decides, I will try to write my own poem. And that is what she does. She writes her own poem, though she says, I'm not as clever as Priya. I don't know as many big words as Priya. But she writes a poem. And I will read out just the first part because I think we are running out of time.
Yes, ma'am.
There once was a girl from Kolaba who loved to eat food at a dhaba. She got up one morn to find it was gone. She found cheer in Fab Foods Rum Baba. There was once a fellow in Worli who liked his pasta all twirly. But the grocer next door said, I have no more. But Fab Food stocks both straight and curly. And the poem goes on and on. There's a boy from Khar. There's a granny from Marol. There's a young man in Fort. And she sends in the poem. And then she waits and waits to hear what happens. Okay, but I think we have run out of time. Is that right, Miss?
No, ma'am. We still have minutes, and we have some kids, eagerly waiting to show you their superpower heroes in this.
Lovely.
And children, continue sending your questions in the chat. Diksha, you can share it with ma'am. What you wanted to share quickly, girl. And we will just take ma'am 3 to 4 more questions, and then we'll proceed ahead.
Very peaceful. She's an angel. She's very peaceful. Whenever someone is writing, she will make everyone peaceful.
Lovely.
She's very quiet and happy and peaceful.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Lovely angel.
And whenever
Peaceful superhero is lovely.
and whenever the bad people come to hurt her, she attacked her.
Okay. Very good.
That's it.
Super.
Oh, okay, very nice. Okay, ma'am. We have one more student with us, Lakshmi. Yes, Lakshmi.
Can I say what is my hero, like the hero?
Yes.
Because a boy who has the ability to make thunderstorm and also ability to be invisible to fly, and if somebody try to hit him, he will not get any hurt.
Wonderfully powerful.
If
Very
he
nice.
falls in lava, he will be still alive.
Amazing. Amazing.
That's all, ma'am.
Oh, okay, very nice, Lakshmi.
Thank you.
Okay, students, you can send your questions in the chat now.
Drishti?
Yes.
Yes, dear.
Yeah. Ma'am, I want to tell my superhero name.
Okay, what is your superhero's name?
My superhero's name is Tama, and he has a invisible power, and he swim in the water, and he like in any language he say any
Wonderful.
language he say, and he can fly.
Lovely, lovely, lovely.
And ma'am, you said I know Gujarati. I am also born in Gujarat, and I am
Oh,
also
wow.
Gujarati.
Very
That's
nice.
lovely.
Okay. Okay. So we have one more student, Arjun, with us. Arjun?
Yes.
Yes.
My superhero name is Fire Splash.
Lovely.
And Fire
Very nice.
Splash just have the powers of Nina only, but he will fly very fast in the sky.
Amazing.
And he has a best weapon, and with his best weapon he will shoot bad guys who do bad things.
Oh,
Super. Super.
oh, sorry. Yeah, you can unmute here. Unmute it.
He will see everything very fastly and do everything very quickly.
Okay. Very nice. Good.
And he-
So, yes,
And
Arjun.
when he's flying, he will get a flame at his shoes.
Oh,
Wow, wonderful.
wonderful.
Thank you, Arjun. Thank you.
Oh.
Yes, Divyani ma'am.
Yeah. So now, as we have come to the end, so I would like to thank Shabnam ma'am. And really, ma'am, it was really a mesmerizing session. I really enjoyed, and each one of us definitely has filled our bags with knowledge bestowed. And now I would like to request Ms. Shabnam ma'am to address few questions. So students, if you have any questions, what you can do, you can just put up in the chat box so that ma'am can answer your all questions.
Ma'am, one question which I have was like, how many books you have written?
Yeah, so I've written 11 big books, sort of for different children. For, this is for older children, and this is for even older children. This is for, teenagers. And so at 12 picture books and 11 big books for children and one book for adults. So about
Okay.
24.
Yes, ma'am. Next question is, ma'am, do you write even horror stories?
Yes, I have a horror story which is actually going to be made into a TV serial, and it's called Saira Zariwala is Afraid. And maybe one day when you're a little bigger and little braver, you all will read the book. Will you all read the book when you're a little bigger? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, definitely. I think we have come towards the end of the session. And so here we have, on behalf of 21K family, ma'am, I would like to take the opportunity to thank you for the wonderful session conducted. And I'm sure we are all enthralled with the stories narrated. And you are truly an inspiration for all the budding writers. And we hope for much more sessions we have along with you. So a big thank you to all the students and the participants. You all have been amazing listeners. I'm very sorry. Definitely, I couldn't give all 100 of you the chance to unmute and talk.
Yeah.
But the responses which you all have given with your chats, with your actions, they were commendable, students. I really want to, I think we all want to appreciate the patience you have shown, and you have been a wonderful speakers. And definitely, even if we have not called out your names, children, we are looking at whatever you're showing, the Sudhamurthy books, your drawings and all. So don't be disheartened. We have all been viewing what you have been showing. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you, children. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you for
Bye.
your
Thank you, ma'am.
presence, ma'am. Have a great
Bye.
day, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Can we have a
Bye,
bye-bye?
everyone.
Wave your hands. Both the hands, right hands, left
Bye,
hand,
everyone.
See
right
you
hand
all.
up, left hand down.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you,
Bye.
everyone, for being such a lovely audience. And thank you, Miss.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, ma'am.
Shabnam, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
Bye.